hello everyone. My name is Erin McConnell.
My name is Davina Hanna-Bardula.
And we are the campaign coordinators for the University of Connecticut Public Interest Research Group's Affordable Textbooks campaign this semester.
Thank you all for joining us here today to discuss open educational resources and this semester's affordable textbook campaign, as well as our goals for the future semesters.
Before we begin, we want to introduce our speakers who will be giving remarks about our campaign.
First, we have Dr. Kumar from the chemistry department, and as well as Kathy Loudorf, who is the Open Educational Resources librarian here at UConn.
But prior to the remarks from our speakers, let's discuss open educational resources. So, open educational resources are freely accessible, openly licensed text, media, and other digital assets, such as textbooks, homework platforms, research articles, etc. And with these, we want students to have access to textbooks wherever and whenever they want, whether they're in a class or not. And students don't have to worry about purchasing these textbooks, as the textbooks are accessible to everyone. So far at UConn, many professors have switched to OER, with our main trailblazers being the chemistry department with the adaptation of their OpenStax textbook. And the chemistry department and all the other professors who have switched have done this through the UConn Open and Affordable Initiative, which provides $1,000+ for faculty and instructors who transition their courses to include OER, and $250 for faculty and instructors who review an open textbook relevant to their course. This application process is all online and rather easy to complete, which is why we encourage all faculty to make this transition. As for our campaign this semester, we have done many things to promote OER. We have renewed the $5 million open textbook pilot for fiscal year 19, which we won last year, but there was a problem with the allocation of the money. However, we have secured that it will allocate money to textbook programs nationwide and save students up to $50 million in the next year. Along with this legislative action we have taken, we also are promoting visibility around campus. We hosted a video table in September where we asked students to discuss the qualms they have about their textbook prices, which we then compiled into a montage and sent to Washington, D.C. via our higher ed campaign director, Caitlin Vitez. We got 39 students to make a video to send to Congress, which was awesome for our 2-hour table. Then during Open Access Week, which was recently October 22nd through 26th, we hosted a table in the library, thanks to Kathy, where we talked to 30 students about open educational resources and our campaign. And lastly, we are planning a Thanksgiving table where we will be collecting photo petitions to thank professors who have switched to OER. And in addition to increasing visibility among students, we have also been working to do the same among professors and administration. First, earlier in the semester, we met with the new provost, Craig Kennedy, and received his endorsement, as well as receiving more than 50 professor endorsements last semester.
Which ties into our goal of faculty canvassing in the upcoming semesters. Last semester we met with the psychology department, and in the upcoming semesters we're looking to keep in contact with them, as well as other departments here on campus to kind of spread the word about open educational resources and promote visibility among faculty members, about how switching is beneficial to their students not only now, but also for years to come. Lastly, our efforts with open educational resources don't end just here on campus. We're also working to coordinate our efforts with many other schools in the region. First, we recently opened communication with the University of Hartford, who has an up-and-coming textbook program, and they are looking to model it somewhat like our own here at UConn. We talked to them about faculty canvassing and promoting visibility, to which we told them about social media blasts and tabling, things like that. And so we are looking to keep in contact with them to be a resource for us, and we can be a resource for them in terms of getting legislation in Connecticut and things like that. We also have always had a good relationship with UMass Amherst and MassPIRG, which they're going right along with us as trailblazers in the OER department. They have a strong advocacy group for the Creative Commons license, and which is a stamp for the publishing on the OER textbooks, and also they're recipients for the Hewlett Foundation grants as well as the Gates Foundation grants for professors who are looking to adapt or contribute to open educational resources. Finally, we have been in contact and are working with Trinity College, who also has a grant program in which they give stipends to their professors who are looking to adapt for the 2019 school year, fall 2019 semester, in which they give a $1,500 stipend, where $500 is given at the first spring 2019 semester, and then the rest of the money is given upon adaptation.
Now we will hear from our two speakers. First, Dr. Kumar.
Okay, thank you guys. So So where do I, go ahead, yeah.
Yes,
okay,
please.
Great. Perfect.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Devana, and thanks to Kathy. And maybe we'll stand. That's better, right? So first of all, I want to say that this is really great opportunity for me to express my views. And these are my views and not that of the university, so that's out of the way first. Then I want to tell why we gather here to talk about this particular topic. Why do we care? Why do I care? Why do you care? Why should everybody else care for this remarkable initiative you guys have started? That is, let me say that education is a birthright. And we should do everything possible to remove the economic barriers to make this affordable to everybody on the planet, period. Now, why is that important? Because education, enlightens the soul, the human mind, and it will propagate the knowledge, it will stimulate the wisdom, and it will create prosperity and peace for everybody to share, not just one or two people. So education is key, is very important, as is one of the, I would say, human traits to record information outside your physical bodies. It's truly a human activity. If you forget about scent marking by animals as one method of recording information. So we do this, and why should we put it in a bottle and put a price on it, right? It is so fundamental. It's a human quality, a unique human quality. Tigers can't write books. They can teach their kids how to hunt, but not, record information outside their physical bodies. Only we are able to do that. So that's why we all care. That's why we should share. We should share fairly, without economic barriers, affordable. So that's the first thing. Let's get that out. The second thing, ever since Kathy asked me to talk about this, which was like 24 hours or less, so I went around asking my colleagues about this. Are you using? Why are you not using? If you used, why are you switching? And this sort of thing. And I also did a little bit of research on, and read some articles and so on. So it appears that less than 10% of the courses actually adopt, not just at UConn, but nationwide. And so that's kind of shocking in one way. But on the other hand, actually I'm very impressed with that. Because, if I look in my office, I have this huge case of physical chemistry textbooks. And I can say from all those things, only one or two books are really being used. There's so many books already on physical chemistry. Every year you get a new book, but only one or two books champion. And that's because the faculty pick those. And that's because they like it. Why they like? Because of many, many reasons they like and they want their students to use it. And so just because we write an OER textbook, doesn't mean it should be adapted like that. Because, why? Because there are three parts to this problem or solution, both one and the same, depending on which side you look at. First, the students. You're doing a great job, and you are really the marketing department for this, right? You go out, you canvass, you convince faculty, you got the legislation done. It's a commendable job. And you're also the PR. And you are the end users, beneficiaries of this, right, in there. And so the second part is faculty. The faculty, most of them I talked to, and I haven't met anyone yet that doesn't like OER. Why is that? Because they want the books to be affordable or free, right? But then they have their own criteria to adopt a book. Now we cannot ignore that if we want to be successful in this. One is that the book should be of high rigor, academic rigor. That's what we do, right? We teach, we want to give the best to our students. We want the best materials available for our students. And we don't want to say, well, okay, no, this costs $100, don't buy this, and then you use this. No, we're going to use whatever is available that is the best. Now, the best is decided by the community, by the academic community, no matter what that is, right? Humanities, sciences, art, whatever it is. They have their own academic community, which is going to decide what is the best for them. So you need to get the approval and endorsement from the stars on that field. They have to review it. They have to write commentary on it. And they have to be convinced that's really good stuff to be used. And this is really important. And there is a bit of confusion about OER. In my view, a OER book should be just like a print book, written by 1 or 2 or 3 authors, rigorously, original material, right? It's not generally like a copy from here and then put them together at some textbook. That should not be the case because that doesn't work. The material doesn't flow. It's all chopped up into pieces. You see, the point is that a good writer is also a good artist. When you are best in your field, you distill and redistill this knowledge and wisdom in your mind. And that should flow through the bottom of your heart to your students. It is as much personal as anything else. And in fact, probably more personal than anything else. So that has to be there in the book. You have to connect with your student at that level to make that book successful. And it takes enormous effort to write a book, a textbook, originally from scratch. And I have been doing this for now more than a year. I have not finished my first book. I have underestimated the amount of work required by a factor of 10 at least. Okay, I will tell you why I'm saying all this. And it just enormous amount of work. And so as a result, I have developed immense appreciation and regard for all the book authors out there, textbook authors. I never thought it is so hard to write. Now remember, I have taught this material for 30 years. I'm writing this book on thermodynamics. I taught it for 30 years. I can derive these in my sleep. But I'm still, all my weekends are wiped. I work up to 12 at midnight. I wake up at 5 in the morning and do this. So it's just enormous amount of commitment and work and expertise required to write a book from scratch. Only if you write a book from scratch, that will be original material others can use. That should be peer-reviewed by my peers and they should endorse it. Only then it will be successful. Okay. So I asked this great university and the president of this university and the provost of this university to give not money but time to the faculty to do this. I can tell you that I would need, at least in my case, 1 full year to devote to this. If I do everything else, I cannot do this. I have to put 1 year to write 1 book from scratch. Then I can be sure that is of really, a quality that my peers can actually spend time on, reviewing and adopting and so on and so forth. But it's just not possible. It's the time that really, really required to do this. I need that time, not my students. I have to put that time myself into it, right? And then we have UITS people here. They have fantastic computational facilities. They can help the authors by, guiding how to make figures, how to do this and how to do that, and how to make animations. Let's say there should be 1 animation or 2 animations per chapter. Now, this is where you triumph over the print material. You resort to the latest digital technology that can provide, right? A textbook cannot show you animation. Textbook cannot give you an exam. So I can put exams in my book, live. You can take them, quizzes. You can grade yourself. You know what to study from the answers you give the questions. So you could do all that in the electronic platform. And you can, of course, do on iPhones, but how many people read books on iPhones, right? So it should be, reasonable, format. So UITS can help with doing that. Not only in this, but anywhere else, right? So what I'm saying is that IT has to be involved intimately if you want this OER to be successful and compete with the publishing world. So that's the role of the faculty here. That's the second player in this. The third player, which we cannot ignore, is the publishing. The publishing industry has been around for almost 200 years, okay? Now, don't underestimate. They have enormous resources. And people tell me they spend almost $2 to $3 million to produce 1 book. they have an army of professionals working on the book. Editing, digital, graphics, and marketing, service, and reaching out to faculty. They drop in my office, give a book to me and say, hey, here's the PowerPoints you can use. Here is a book, it's a really nice one. So they convince the faculty, adopt that. No, we have to have that. So you guys are our marketing team. You guys are our sales team, right? You have to go and talk to your faculty and say, would you plan to use an online book? If you don't plan to use an online book, why would that be? What would you expect in an online book so that you're satisfied to adopt that? Most of the time, there's not enough content out there. For example, when I started writing, there was no open source physical chemistry textbook, period. So where do I start, right? I can't adapt if there's no book. So first, the content has to be created. And then we have to compete with the publishing world. In fact, it's really not a competition with the publishing world. I invite them to collaborate with us. And so they can take our open educational material. They can put it on their website along with their print copy. Let the best book win. Let the students decide whether they want this or the other, right? They also can partner with us. They can take our material and add things that are missing. For example, they can put in videos of lectures. They can put in problem sets, or they can give solutions manuals along with it and sell it for a very small price along with it. So they can enrich. And actually some publishing companies are actually doing this stuff. So the price of the book drops dramatically because they're not doing the main thing. So let them be partners with us on this, right? So only this way we can integrate what we are doing with what is out there. We're not fighting with anyone. We want to collaborate with the partners, right? Only then this will be successful. And that's because the digital media is going to win out in the long run. In the short run, it will be hard for us to compete because it's like competing against Coca-Cola. You're making some orange juice, and if the orange juice doesn't taste as good or better than Coca-Cola, nobody's going to buy that, right? So you got to make your very high quality textbooks first. Only then you can compete and convince the faculty to adopt those books, right? So you need to have authors who will devote their time to do this and write it in a very rigorous way that the academic community will endorse it for their courses. Otherwise, they're going to revert back. We only get one or two chances. And once they revert back, it will be very difficult to get them back onto OER again. So we'll be very, very careful about this stuff, right? And then you also have done the legislative thing because you need money to not just give out to the faculty, but also to develop, right? Because it costs to create the content. Particularly if you want to create original content, it's expensive, and then somebody has to put it up on the net, and that costs money. So the society has to support as part of their mission because this is for everybody. Because education is a profitable investment in the society, in us, in our future, right? Your future, my future, everybody else's future. Because if you get good education, you become very productive, and the society prospers. It prospers, there will be peace. And so this is really a bigger mission than with putting out a textbook out there. So with that, I will close up and say thank you, Kathy, and thank you guys for this opportunity.
And thank you, Dr. Kumar. Now we will hear from Kathy, our resource in the library.
Hello, everyone. I am Kathy Labrador for the Open Educational Resources here at the Babbage Library. And I have attended national conferences on open educational resources since 2015 when I began working in this field. And I've had doors and everything open to me because of the work that our UConnPIRG students have done. our UConnPIRG students found a way to make a coalition with the undergraduate student government, and together they said, this is an issue that students are really concerned about. We really need to make education more affordable. Students are graduating with too high a debt, and the other items that have come up lately is we now realize that many higher education students are homeless. They can't afford a place to live. They're also hungry. How many students have now, universities and colleges now have a food bank for affordable food? It's not that, sometimes you hear a faculty say, oh yeah, they want free textbooks so they can go buy more beer. No, that is never the case. As Dr. Kumar mentioned, education is a birthright. We all have knowledge in our head and we want more knowledge, and this is what the school is going to give us, and because of that, we are going to make the world better, as these UConnPIRG students are doing right now. They are helping to make the world better. So, the beginning of this, as I said, started with UConnPIRG and USG. They went out and talked to faculty. At that time, I had no clue about OER. I was absolutely uninformed. And I knew textbooks were expensive, but I didn't know there was an alternative. So they talked with faculty, found out, do they know about OER? What don't they know? How can we inform them about the debt of students, how students have to take out much money, and actually, financial literacy. When you think of a student paying for an expensive textbook with a credit card because that's the only thing they have, what a bad decision that is. And I think the students know that's a bad decision, because this book will not go up in value, it will only go down in value. So they need to be able to pay off that right away, and how many students can do that? So the USG and the UConnPIRG students then took their research, they took their data that they gathered from all these faculty and brought it to Sally Reese, who at that time was, I believe, the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. And she said, also, I've never heard of OER. I didn't know this was a possibility. Let me bring this to the Provost Council, the Vice Provost Council, which she did. Our former library director was the Vice Provost, so she served on that committee. And Sally Reese brought this up, and Martha Bedard said, yes, I know about OER. The library would be happy to bring this forward and organize the material. It is not a library initiative. It is a university initiative. So we formed a task force, which included the students, of course. At that time, Daniel Bird was the president of USG. Saman Azimi was in UConnPIRG. He was the OER coordinator. Saman has since gone on to the national level of working with PIRG. Another graduate of UConn, Ethan Senick, who graduated before OER came on, he is now working for Creative Commons because he was with PIRG, and he felt that power, the voice that they're trying to give students, the voice to stand up to powerful interests, to express themselves. So Ethan is now at Creative Commons. UConn has produced some amazing students and done amazing work. I would like to talk a little bit right now about the legislation that USG and PIRG, they worked with our representatives and our senators, Haddad and May Flexer, got this, and who moved the legislation on. And this is the testimony written by Saman Azimi, and I just want to read a little section, because this is an undergrad at UConn, and this is how he writes it. As a student at an institute of higher education, I have felt the acute impact of the high cost of textbooks. I've been forced by a broken market, one in which student consumer has no choice in the product they buy, to purchase textbooks that are more than $250. I have been forced to suffer an even more odious obstacle, access codes, which are publishing companies' response to the burgeoning used textbook market and an all too common occurrence in classrooms, presenting exorbitant costs to students for a single semester's access to materials. That's an undergraduate statement. Very profound, I believe. So with all of that background and with these active students, the library has continued to spearhead this, this program, to offer incentives to faculty, although not large enough, to produce materials for students, or simply to adapt their courses to use less expensive materials. Any method that we can save our students money, and especially with open materials, is great. And we are continuing this this relationship. Davina and Aaron and Carl. Carl is now the head of UConnPIRG, Carl Renato. Sorry, I should have mentioned her whole name. And she's recently been chosen by OpenStax to be a student representative. Since I've been going to the conferences, since 2016, I have made sure that I say, listen to the student voices. Your students have a lot of power. They need to know what's happening. So the last part of what I'd like to talk about is what Carl and Davina and Aaron did is not only did they raise the knowledge level and the experience with faculty members, in the last 2 years, they've gone out and informed students also. They talked with over 900 students about open educational resources, making sure they understand what they are and how they are out there and available. And so they are raising the consciousness of all on campus, from the administrators to the faculty down to the students. And I thank them very much. It's a very worthy cause, and I look forward to working for many more years with them. Thank you.
We'd like to thank both Dr. Kumar and Kathy Labrador for joining us today. As for the future of our campaign, we hope to continue expanding this university's knowledge of open educational resources and make it so all introductory level classes have an open textbook. While we know this is a lofty goal, we truly believe this is the future of schooling, and UConn should continue to be the front runner for this incredible movement.
Does anyone have any questions?
If not, that concludes our press conference. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much
coming.
for coming.